Hi, everybody. Here is my presentation on breaking down a grading rubric for a theme paragraph. First of all, by the end of this lesson, you should have a better understanding of how your theme paragraph will be graded. Also, you should be able to use this grading rubric to score your own paragraph. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, how will you be graded? The theme paragraph has 3 categories in which you will be graded: organization and purpose, evidence and elaboration, and conventions. You can either score a 4, 3, 2, or 1 for organization, purpose, and evidence elaboration. You can score either a 2 or a 1 for conventions. First, let's look at organization purpose. This is what the grading rubric looks like, and you can see it goes from 4 down to 1. And this is just a little overview of what the whole thing looks like. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at specifically how to score a 4. So in order to get a 4, which is the best score you can get for organization and purpose, this is what you would need to have. You need to follow a clear organizational structure for your paragraph. That means you need to utilize an outline or the template that I provided and include all parts of it. You need to stay on topic. You want to make sure that you stick to that topic with a theme statement. You need to use at least one transition, and you also need to have sentence variety. That means that you want to have a mix of short and long sentences and a mix of simple, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. So if you're wondering, what's the main difference between getting a 4 and a 3? Why would I get a 3 and not a 4? Well, these are pretty much the main reasons. If you get a 3, that means that your paragraph has some minor flaws. And some of those flaws could include that the theme statement is maybe not as clear or strong as it could be. Some of the supporting details don't help to support the theme statement. You would need a little bit more sentence variety. Some of the template parts might be missing or out of order. Overall, the writing's good, but the writer needed to review their writing and revise areas that weren't as strong as they could be. So again, close to a 4, but you're not quite mastering it, but you're getting very close. Again, just kind of minor flaws with a few changes, you could easily get to a 4. So then what are the main differences between a 3 and a 2? Why would you score a 2 and not a 3? Well, a 2 would mean that you have evident flaws. They're not minor anymore. They're very evident when you read your paragraph. That would include things like your theme statement is just unclear. The paragraph is missing parts from the template. I mean, again, evident flaws. You're missing whole parts of the template. You're missing a transition. You still have a lack of sentence variety. Your sentences start similarly. Or you just have a lack of a mix of types of sentences. And the writer used unnecessary and repetitive phrasing. And I'm trying to steer you away from saying this shows that, this demonstrates that, this proves that. That becomes very repetitive in your writing. And in elementary school, that would have been okay perhaps to help you start your sentences. But now that you're in junior high, you just want to get rid of that phrasing and just say what you're going to say after that, because you really don't need to say this shows that, this demonstrates that, this proves that. It just sounds way too repetitive and more elementary. All right, now moving on to the next category. This is evidence and elaboration. This is what it looks like, the full rubric for 4-3-2-1. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at what you would need to do in order to get a 4 for evidence and elaboration, which is, again, the best you can do. So you would have to have both pieces of evidence directly relate to and support your theme statement. You would have to have direct quotes with lead-ins that are correctly cited with the author's last name in parentheses. And you'll notice here how I'm really trying to show you. You'd have your quote, you'd have the author's last name in parentheses, and you'd have just one period on the outside of the parenthesis. Evidence was not repetitive. And for your elaboration, you have 2 to 3 sentences of well-written elaboration, and your elaboration explored different aspects of the evidence and made different connections relating to the theme statement. Ultimately, to get a 4, the student really would have to explain the relevancy of the evidence and how and why it supports the theme statement. And it's really important in order to get a 4 that you're not using I anywhere in your paragraph unless it's with a direct quote. What are the main differences between a 4 and a 3? Well, again, if you're not getting a 4 then and you get a 3, why would you get a 3? It's again because of minor flaws. This could be including that most of the evidence was properly cited, but there may have just been a minor error that you made. A lead-in may have been missing for one of the pieces of evidence, but you had it correctly done for your other piece of evidence. At least one piece of evidence was strong, but your second may have been a bit weaker. The student may have used some summary and generalizations instead of being specific with their evidence. The elaboration was adequate, it was good, but some ideas may have been repeated. Overall, the writing's good, but again, the writer needed to review the writing and revise areas that weren't as strong as they could be. And then if you're kind of wondering, well, why did I get a 2 and not a 3? A 2 means that, again, there was evident flaws that were noticed. Only one piece of evidence was used instead of 2. That's pretty noticeable, right? Missing citations or incorrect citations for both pieces of evidence. Again, that's very noticeable, very evident. Lead-ins were not used before direct quotes. Evidence did not support the theme statement or were too similar. Students summarized or repeated the evidence instead of saying something new about it. The elaboration did not support the theme statement or draw enough conclusions or connections. And I was used in the paragraph outside of a direct quote. So again, these are very evident things that would be very noticeable in a paragraph or in an essay. And then let's take a look at conventions. Really, you can get a 2 or a 1 for this paragraph that we're doing. And to get a 2, you would need to proofread your paragraph. You would need to read it to yourself multiple times. If something is underlined in red, you would need to see if something is misspelled and fix it. You would want to make sure that you capitalize the beginning of a sentence, proper nouns, and make sure you use proper punctuation. That would include a period at the end of a sentence, proper use of commas, proper use of quotation marks. And if you're not doing those things, then that's where you would end up with a 1. So hopefully we met our objectives. We'll see. Hopefully you'll have a better understanding of how your theme paragraph will be graded, and you should be able to use this grading rubric to score your own paragraph. So let's see.